where we show our latest technologies.
The strange incident was more than intriguing to UFO researchers, not only because of how the craft maneuvered, but also because of the area where it appeared.
Off the coast of San Diego in California is somewhere that UFOs or UAPs have been appearing regularly for decades.
Since 1995, more than 1,000 UFO sightings have been reported in the San Diego area.
All these reports of sightings were not just made up. They can be photographed. There's something up there and sometimes down in the water that no one understands. More and more the military is acknowledging that it's interested, giving credibility to the fact that these things exist.
When you realize that the San Diego Naval Base is one of the most restricted naval bases, restricted areas in the country, UFOs are flying back and forth over the ships, over the base.
The number of UFO reports occurring in San Diego may appear quite significant. However, it is just one of several locations around the globe where similar incidents are often reported and documented. Locations that have come to be known as UFO hotspots.
UFO hotspots begin where sightings of unusual aerial phenomena are common. There's usually a perceivable, unusual energy at the site. There's been a long history of sightings.
UFO hotspots are places where UFOs occur not just across a few years, but across decades. And of course the question becomes, why are these places so important? Why is it that UFOs can appear that they're more frequently than anywhere else?
One well-known hotspot in the United States is the Hudson Valley in New York State. Here, we not only have dozens of witnesses, but over a period of years, we have thousands of witnesses.
Marfa is this mountain range in Texas, and it's these strange anomalous lights that nobody has ever been able to figure out. It's such a hotspot that the actual state of Texas built a viewing station where people can stop and rest and watch the Marfa lights at night.
The Bermuda Triangle is also a well-known hotspot as well. Wiltshire, England is another. Sedona has become a very popular hotspot. And Skinwalker Ranch in northern Utah is an outstanding example of a hotspot. Native Americans have said for centuries that this is a place where supernatural UFO activity occurs. It seems that a large proportion of sightings of UFOs or UAPs in the modern world do take place at hotspots.
The perception of so-called UFO hotspots emerged in the aftermath of two of the most highly publicized UFO incidents in U.S. history, which both took place in 1947. On June 24th, near Mount Rainier in Washington State, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 saucer-shaped craft flying in a coordinated pattern at a speed of approximately 1,200 miles per hour. Just 1 month later,
UFO sightings, lights in the sky, anomalous activity in the American Southwest, the Northeast, the Mississippi Valley, and UFO researchers took notice of this and began to flock to those areas to conduct their research.
Researchers in the 50s and the 60s, they went back through the data, and sometimes literally they would get out a map and X marks the spot, and then they would notice, wait a minute, there are these clusters, these strange hotspots, areas where these events seem to pile up for no apparent reason.
What researchers realized was that 60 to 70% of UFO sightings in America turn up at the same spots over and over again. And they realized that there was something about those spots that was drawing UFO.
If we're trying to solve a mystery, you want to go to a location that has the most clues. And these are the locations that could have the clues to connect our ancient past to our modern reality and perhaps give us the answers we're seeking.
Could there really be certain locations on Earth that attract extraterrestrial visitors, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining what reportedly took place at one such location, not in modern times, but thousands of years ago, in Israel. Tel Aviv, Israel, October 2000. While building a road just east of the city, a construction crew discovers the entrance to an ancient limestone cave dwelling. Archaeologists soon begin excavating the site, known as the Kesem Cave, and are shocked to determine that it was inhabited by human beings 400,000 years ago.
What archaeologists found was a time capsule of human activity from around 400,000 years ago down to about 200,000 years ago. And when they started to investigate the cave, they realized that the so-called Kesem people were practicing shamanism at this early stage.
Evidence from the cave shows that the Kesem people had skills considered impossible for that time, including the ability to make and use fire at will, craft stone tools, and even preserve food. But why did early humans with such advanced abilities choose to inhabit this particular cave and live there for more than 200,000 years? Ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer may lie in the fact that the Kesem Cave sits in the shadow of Mount Gerizim, where mysterious aerial phenomena have been reported for thousands of years.
Mount Gerizim in Israel was considered the original dwelling place of God in the Old Hebrew Bible. And God's presence would take the form of a Shekinah or some kind of bright light that would emanate from this mountain.
The earliest biblical patriarchs came to this mountain and had visions of the blinding light, what we call UFOs or UAPs today.
Mount Gerizim has been a hotspot where mysterious lights appear both in modern times and historically. For example, in the 1720s, an English cleric by the name of Thomas Shore was exploring the vicinity of Mount Gerizim. And he and his team saw this incredible light phenomenon around and around him.
And he referred to it as ignis fatuus, which means the foolish fire. And he observed this for hours, changing different forms, coming forwards, going backwards.
Thomas Shore's encounter at Mount Gerizim is just one of many that have been reported over the centuries, including sightings in modern times.
An English journalist by the name of Wilkins wrote a book entitled Flying Saucers Uncensored. And this talks about a group of bedouin in the vicinity of Mount Gerizim in the 1950s encountering this strange object which was interpreted in terms of a flying saucer. Wanting to confirm that UFOs are still seen in the area of Mount Gerizim today, I climbed the mountain and I was able to speak with one of the highest ranking priests of the Samaritan community who live there to this day. And he was able to confirm that indeed strange mysterious lights are seen there.
Considering the long history of strange lights being reported over Mount Gerizim, is it possible that extraterrestrials have been visiting the same locations for thousands of years? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that UFO hotspots can even help explain several mysteries of the ancient past, including why certain sites are designated as places of spiritual worship, and why some of the most enigmatic temples and monuments in the world were created.
In ancient times, strange lights were seen repeatedly in the same locations, and in a number of cases, these areas were marked by some sort of monuments to memorialize these beings and these gods visiting people.
The reason why Delphi, Greece became a place of worship is because the locals say that someone descended from the sky there and imparted knowledge. Now, in my opinion, you would not build something of that scale if it really didn't happen. And in the area of Delphi, to this day, you see aerial phenomena that are very strange.
Much like Delphi, the ancient site of Stonehenge is a place where UFOs are frequently reported today. A photo of a disc-shaped object hovering over the megalithic structure was even included in a British Ministry of Defense file that was declassified in 2009.
Stonehenge is a great example of a UFO hotspot in England. Over the lifetime of the Ministry of Defence's UFO project, there have probably been several hundred, if not no thousands of sightings recorded around Stonehenge in the county of Wiltshire.
Ancient Native American sites where petroglyphs depict strange beings often identified as star ancestors have also become UFO hotspots in modern times.
Rock art at these ancient sites
Depicts a multitude of strange beings, large eyes, elongated heads, often looking like some kind of extraterrestrial creation.
and it would seem that these ancient sites have been having UFO activity for thousands of years. And this UFO activity is continuing even today. One very good example is Lake Titicaca on the border between Peru and Bolivia. There's an island there by the name of the Island of the Sun, and this is well known for strange lights rising up out of it. They've been seen by locals, they've been seen by visitors. The Island of the Sun is also seen as the point of creation by the local Aymara and Quechua peoples of the region. And what they say is that the sun rose up out of that island into the air. There were ancient hotspots, there are modern hotspots, and when you draw a map of all the hotspots around the world, what you find is that the ancients and the moderns are the same. It never went away.
Is there something about these sites that attracts UFOs? It's maybe why the ancients built them in those locations in the first place.
Is it possible that mysterious ancient sites such as Mount Gerizim, Stonehenge, Chaco Canyon, and many others offer evidence that extraterrestrials may have been visiting Earth for thousands of years at very specific locations? If so, why? Ancient astronaut theorists believe that the answer may be found by looking not toward the sky, but deep underground. Can cliffs
classic hotspot. Here, UFOs appeared from 1983 to 1986 and was witnessed by thousands of people. A triangular boomerang-shaped object, very well lit, flew very low over the community, and it was photographed, videotaped, and it was seen from people from all over China who were sure they saw something strange that was not from this planet. This caused people to pull off the side of the road and actually start calling home, thinking there was some type of an invasion. And there were executive doctors, scientists, and so on, meteorologists, and all reported something that they had never seen before.
Over the span of 3 years, officials received more than 9,000 reports from eyewitnesses describing the same V-shaped craft.
Not only was there a UFO sighting in Hudson Valley, but it came back night after night.
These are people who would not normally come forward to say that they saw a UFO.
I don't know. It's about what takes it.
Yet, what they saw was so convincing and so frightening to them that they went on record to report what they saw. I mean, it's just amazing.
During the 2-year wave of UFO sightings in the Hudson Valley, Author Philip Imbrogno investigated the area on behalf of the Center for UFO Studies, which was founded by J. Allen Hynek after his work with Project Blue Book. Imbrogno conducted hundreds of interviews with residents of the area and even witnessed the V-shaped craft himself.
This object, whatever it was, the size of a football field, came over the highways and hovered, and at times projected down a brilliant beam of white light. Usually UFO researchers don't see the UFO that they're investigating. I saw this object 3 times. So, it was amazing.
As Imbrogno spent months crisscrossing the area, he noticed something curious. The volume of mysterious reports during this time were not only focused on the strange craft in the sky, but also on bizarre sounds coming from somewhere deep below ground.
People start to wonder, why are these hot spots hot spots? And one explanation is that what is actually going on is underneath the ground. That these hot spots are in fact entrances to vast underground cabins or even secret bases.
In the Hudson River there, especially in the 80s, I spoke to a few researchers, and they said that the locals used to hear things coming up from underground, and they weren't really quite sure what it was, but they figured there was a base below ground, a military/alien base.
Arguably, the most famous sighting in the Hudson Valley hotspot concerned beings from underground, as was the case with best-selling horror novelist Whitley Strieber, who wrote about his own experience in his book, Communion.
My wife and I had bought a cabin in the western extreme edge of the Hudson Valley. And in December of 1985, I woke up in a room, not my bedroom, in the middle of the night, and the room was filled with 2 kinds of figure, these willowy figures with big black eyes and dark blue short figures. And then I began to hear a voice saying, "What can you do to help yourself scream?" I thought, I'm screaming, and I was screaming. And the next morning I woke up extremely confused and disturbed without any real understanding of what happened to me.
While many presume that Strieber's alien abductors descended from the skies, in fact, he described them as coming up from below, and their presence was marked by sounds deep beneath his mountain cabin.
In the cabin, we used to hear drilling in underground. And we could hear this taking place under the cabin. In fact, it was so loud one day I was sitting with one of my neighbors, and the sound kept coming up, and you could kind of feel it in your teeth. It was not pleasant.
The idea that hotspots mark entrances to the underworld is a phenomenon seen across the planet.
This can be what's happening in, say, Great Canada. And then you have other places like, say, Mount Shasta or certain volcanoes in Mexico where UFOs are seen and there's a lot of activity.
Where do people allege that there are underground bases? Well, in New Mexico, of course. And what do you have in New Mexico? Roswell. And it's alleged that there is a secret underground base off the coast of San Diego. And of course, that's the focus of a lot of the modern UFO activity involving the US Navy.
Could the strange sounds reportedly emanating from beneath the Hudson Valley and many other hotspots be evidence of hidden underground structures, as some speculate? Or might there be another explanation for these areas of high UFO activity? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining the power of Earth's magnetic field. Vernon, France, August 24th, 1954. In this small town outside of Paris, numerous eyewitnesses report several mysterious oval-shaped craft above the Seine River, traveling at great speeds before suddenly vanishing into thin air. It is the first of more than 300 UFO incidents that would take place in France during the year. Journalist Amy Michel begins studying the reported flight paths of many of these accounts and makes an astonishing observation.
All these UFO sightings appear to move in dead straight lines, often crisscrossing,
And as he kept getting reports coming in and he kept plotting them, he kept finding the same system happening, the same lines, the same movements of these UFOs.
In 1958, Michel published his research in a book called Flying Saucers and the Straight Line Mystery. In the book, he introduced a principle he called orthogony, which held that clusters of UFO activity over a short period of time usually occur along straight lines that often intersect.
What Amy Michel started to realise was that there seemed to be a pattern in where these objects were appearing, and also their flight paths. He saw that they actually used specific lines which he felt were connected with the magnetic forces of the Earth.
He's noticing that these UFOs are traveling in straight lines using latitudes, and that in fact this can be extrapolated into an entire grid that encapsulates the entire planet.
Is it possible that Amy Michel successfully identified a grid pattern across the Earth of highly magnetized regions that have come to be known as UFO hotspots? Ancient astronaut theorists believe that further clues can be found by examining an area that has become notorious for mysterious phenomena and strange disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle.
With the Bermuda Triangle, it is an irrefutable fact that planes and ships of various sizes have disappeared without a trace. You also have UFO and UAP stories.
In the last century, roughly 50 ships and 20 airplanes have vanished without a trace within this infamous 500,000 square mile stretch of the Atlantic Ocean. According to Scottish biologist and paranormal researcher Ivan T. Sanderson, the Bermuda Triangle is just one of a strange and disturbing kind of UFO hotspot that he described as the world's 12 violent vortices.
He was able to identify, he believed, certain spots like the Bermuda Triangle, the Dragon's Triangle, places like the Great Pyramid, other huge monument areas. And there was activity going on in these places. Disappearing ships and airplanes, UFO activity, lights and unusual
supernatural phenomenon that were occurring constantly.
In his 1972 article entitled The 12 Devil's Graveyards Around the World, Sanderson mapped these sites at equidistant points above and below the equator and discovered they form a mysterious geometrical pattern on the Earth's surface.
There were 12 of these across the globe, and 5 of them are within the Tropic of Cancer, 5 of them within the Tropic of Capricorn, the other 2 the North Pole and the South Pole. What's interesting is if you connect all of these through the sphere of our globe, you make an icosahedron or a 20-sided polygon. So this is showing us how all of these type of hotspots are connected to each other.
The hotspot sites Sanderson identified share more than just a unique history and geometry. Many of these so-called vile vortices have strong magnetic anomalies caused by variations or disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field.
If you take a look at the Earth has a magnetic field like a bar magnet. The field of the magnetism comes out from the North Pole and goes into the South Pole. It comes from the fact that inside the Earth there is churning electricity. And we don't know that there are anomalies there.
It's as if our entire Earth is one gigantic battery. And if one were to argue that the entire planet is a battery, well, what's it used for? I think our planet could serve to power whatever exotic device extraterrestrials use to get here and leave.
Incredibly, powerful magnetic anomalies are found at many UFO hotspots, including the San Diego Bay, the Bermuda Triangle, and the Hudson Valley.
Perhaps a lot of this has to do with interstellar travel. Maybe these hotspots really get that energy. Maybe the UFOs can literally suck up the power that the ancients, for example, could sense when they built these monuments in the first place.
Are all UFO hotspots part of a natural worldwide power grid? Could learning how to access the energy at these sites one day equip mankind with advanced extraterrestrial technology and capabilities? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and believe that extraterrestrials are already using this electromagnetic energy, not to travel to UFO hotspots, but possibly through them. The Uinta Basin, Utah. Skinwalker Ranch is a 512-acre property where for more than 2 centuries, mysterious and terrifying phenomena have been reported, including UFOs, cattle mutilations, and otherworldly creatures.
Skinwalker Ranch in northern Utah is an outstanding example of a hotspot. It's one that is a crossover location because Native Americans have said for centuries that this is a place where supernatural activity occurs, and it's still occurring today and is now being very well documented and thoroughly studied.
In 2019, astrophysicist Dr. Travis Taylor joined a team of scientists and researchers to investigate the bizarre phenomena on the property.
To the south. There it is! It's moving real slow. That thing is big and spherical.
Yes, it is. It's got a black dot in the center of it. That ain't an airplane.
Since I've been out there at Skinwalker Ranch, I've seen so many different things that before I would have not really believed they existed.
Travis, you got to see this. Okay.
There's the lasers.
Yeah, I'm doing this. And look back. You see this?
Yeah.
Wow. What the crap is that?
And I can say that I'd never seen a UFO before I went to Skinwalker Ranch, and now I've seen so many, I can't count them.
Skinwalker Ranch is without question the most scientifically studied hotspot on the planet. To be able to take a more advanced scientific effort forward to better understand what is really happening there. I mean, it's the greatest science project of our time.
Between 1996 and 2016, the federal government helped fund investigations on the ranch that were led by aerospace entrepreneur Robert Bigelow and his organization known as the National Institute for Discovery Science.
People ask me, hey, what did Bigelow find? And the interesting thing is that we haven't received not a single bit of data from the previous team. So it must be classified. Bigelow never shared it with us.
Although much of what the Bigelow team discovered has never been released to the public, it has been suggested that some of the hotspot phenomena witnessed on the ranch may be related to a portal through space-time.
Skinwalker Ranch appears to be the epicenter of some really strange energy measurements, strange electric and magnetic field. There's been a lot of speculation that Skinwalker Ranch is the site of a portal or a wormhole where alien civilizations or maybe even extra-dimensional creatures are using it as a transit station. They're moving in and out.
Could wormholes really be an explanation for why hotspots like Skinwalker Ranch exist where they do? The idea of a wormhole, a shortcut through time and space, was proposed in 1935 by physicists Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen. Using the theory of relativity, they showed that these pathways could exist as a tunnel structure connecting two very distant points through space and time, making travel to the most remote parts of the universe a theoretical possibility.
Some believe that extraterrestrials would use wormholes and UFOs would then apparently arrive out of nowhere seemingly and disappear into nowhere, which is very often what you get at locations that are UFO hotspots like Skinwalker Ranch. What you find, the idea that there's a portal.
It's within the laws of physics to use the wormhole as a gateway to another distant part of the galaxy. Faster than the speed of light. We don't have that kind of technology, but perhaps an advanced civilization already mastered this technology and use it to crisscross the galaxy. That cannot be ruled out.
Is it possible that advanced intelligent beings exist in other parts of the universe who have the technology to create portals through time and space? And if so, could UFO hotspots be gateways where they are able to reach Earth?
It might explain why on our Earth, at places where UFOs of any shape, size, color are seen on a repeated basis, it's exactly the same thing. They're coming in and out of electromagnetically created portals. And that's why there seems to be a pattern of coming and going on this planet. They are with us on our planet.
Could it be that extraterrestrials are actually traveling to Earth through wormholes or portals? If so, where are they coming from?